Welcome back, everybody. It is the Working Brother back at you with another talk. Yet again, George McMilllan III is here to talk with us about a lot of interesting things. We had him on just now. We talked about Trump. We've still got some Trumpy things to get into in our usual comedic, not funny way on this worst comedy channel on YouTube. George looks extremely happy to be back. Thrilled, but at least you're not surprised like you were in that other video that we did recording.
Oh, I was shocked.
Shocked. There you were. You were shocked. Not surprised. Yeah. That's correct. By the way, for everybody who thinks that I slack off or anything of the sort, where is our little tab here? There we go. You've got Working Brother George Inception going on. This is a live, or well, it's the premiere. It's not actually live, as you can tell, because we're recording. And there's people here in chat. So yeah, get on the get live, get in the chat.
Is that true?
That's true. This is premiering now, yeah, on my channel. If you want to go, comment with people. But the point is that also we're actually addressing comments from earlier videos in this video, so it's kind of like an inceptions of comments. Do you want to have a look at those comments while I play the BBC video, or do you want to pay attention to this BBC video?
I want to see the questions in the chat. Now you got me intrigued. Wait, can I participate in that?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. You can participate live in the chat.
It's on the Working Brother channel?
Yeah, Working Brother channel. It's the one that's premiering now. It's the one where we recorded, like, when did we record it? Like 3, 4, 5 days ago, something like that.
Okay.
Where is it? Hold on, let me put it up on screen. Surveillance and tech. Giants in Ukraine and revolution on speed dial and the IMEI stuff. Lots of interesting stuff in that thing. But I think the comment, it just started like 10 minutes ago. I think the comments are generally lukewarm so far, unlike some of the comments that we've got lined up for today. But yeah, should we let's deal with the Trump stuff first. Hold on, we've got this is a comedy show, so we've got this image. Have you seen Trump's newest image? This is going I think it's gonna be in style, that whole thing with the big earrings. In any case, where is that BBC stuff? BBC 2. There we go. Full screen. The volume for this thing should be on.
You were inside the event.
You were inside.
Yes, so,
tell us. Oh my God.
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farm and Greenhouse here. We had a party. And we all decided, hey, you know, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here, I have no idea, you know. But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at.
Man, this British reporter is like typically British. Let's put it that way. Any comments so far, or should I let it keep going?
Oh yeah, just let it roll for a minute.
At us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see? I mean, obviously, everyone when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
We don't know who's watching.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
It's incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof. Right there.
Did you get a look at it?
Did you hear, George? It was incredibly shocking.
He was in muted colors, tan type clothing. We saw the rifle flinging around as he was trying to crawl. I mean, we saw the rifle, 100%.
Do you know about guns? Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
Oh, I absolutely know about guns, for sure. No, I mean, it was a rifle of some sort. I wouldn't know, I wasn't close enough to read the label on it, but,
sure. But
it was a rifle of some sort. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you process what you've just seen?
I don't know what to say, man. All I'll tell you is, if I walked up close to there with anything that Secret Service considered a problem, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. But I don't know why a guy who we're standing there pointing out to police and Secret Service is crawling up the roof.
Were you outside the security perimeter?
Yes, right there by that tree. We were outside the security perimeter. But my question is, there's only a few buildings around here. Why is Secret Service not on every building here?
Well, there's a whole bunch of questions I think that are going to come.
There's a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Trump flag on the horse?
Yes, she was right in front of me. She kept going back and forth right in front of me. Yes.
Tell us about her.
I mean, nice horse, nice lady running with a flag. Seemed very, patriotic.
But what's the significance of her?
No, he asked me if I saw a horse.
Okay. All right, well, listen, I'm sorry you had to witness that. That was a terrible thing. And you just stay safe with your family and look after yourself. Thanks for your time.
Man.
Just take me back.
Stay safe. That was a terrible thing you witnessed. That reporter, man. Typically British. That's all I'm going to say. Anything to say, George?
Oh, it's just when we're in the previous video when I was talking about usually you do security in concentric rings, and the sniper is always going concentric circles and draw circles out on the map. Usually the map goes to the operations center, but everybody looks at it in their before they go post up in their guard mount briefings, right? Or whatever they call it. So yeah, there was just no police officers stationed at different distances. Yeah, if you bring up the map and just bring up Google Maps real quick.
Hold on.
Yeah, go to Butler Farm Show. Google Maps or the slide set that I had posted up. Whichever one you want to do.
I think the slides are going to be easier to find.
Yeah,
oh no, they're not. Hold on. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I need to scroll back quite a bit. There we go. This one. There we go. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So
where's the one? Where's the one with? Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. So zoom in on that. Make that bigger, right?
Yeah.
All right. So he's he's pointing. Yeah, go down a little bit. No, the other way.
Oh.
Go the other way. All right,
Hold
he's
on.
standing. Yeah, so
There.
he's standing where the B in building is. Yeah, that's where the shooter's from. So go back to the top of that orange block where it
Yeah,
says.
that's where you. Oh, you mean like where this guy, where the guy who was interviewed is? Yeah, he's somewhere here
they're
probably.
over there. Yeah, they're over there somewhere. Because he's pointing to the building that the sniper was in, which is where I started. My 200-foot mark. It says there, or where the shooting distance line is. Yeah, you can see the water tower in the background of that footage. So that's how we're using. That's how Josh and I were using different reference points to figure out where people were standing when they said what or did what or filmed what or whatever. So yeah, so he's over at the Marinelli State Insurance Agent place on YouTube. That's where they're physically standing when he's doing that interview with the BBC guy. So they're pointing, and then when it gets to the security of it that he's talking about, they told the police they didn't really respond right away or respond adequately, or again, he's talking to local police more than likely, who then don't know what the protocol is to relay
or like up the chain of command. Yeah, basically.
Up the chain of command, or go do something themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. All day shooting. The guy was in there shooting for a while, and the regular police officers didn't go in and try to kill the active shooter. That's happened a whole bunch of places where, or the Parkland shooting, the same thing as the Uvalde shooting. A lot of regular cops aren't trained very much in tactical combat. They're trained, they do their shooting quals, and that's just about it. So they really don't know how to engage active shooter situations. So it sounds to me from the way he told that story, that the cops he told didn't know how to run it up to the chain of command, and they didn't know how to respond to it either, by themselves without running it up to chain of command. So again, the police should have been put out in 100-yard increments roughly. And you go back again, the state police were going to send 1 dozen, 2 dozen people out there from ERT, and they were told to stand down and only send 4 people. Well, if they had another dozen people there, well, guess what? There would have been men stationed out there with M4s and could have ended it before it even began. Well, hell, they're supposed to be. Go back up to that map.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, just leave the map
There
up.
it is. Yep.
Okay, so this clump of buildings over by the AGR International building, obviously, since that's going to be a blind spot where the person can't jump out from around the corner and start shooting, they would need to get on the roof. But there should have been someone over there making sure that they're blocking roof access. And with their different force escalation levels, it starts off with presence, then soft voice, please, sir, don't do that. This is closed. So you go presence, soft voice, loud voice, where a cop yells at you not to do something, and then soft hands, you get pushed back, hard hands, strike, intermediaries, you hit somebody with a baton, or hit somebody with pepper spray, or you hit them with a taser, different force escalation methods, all the way up until you get deadly force with a firearm. Well, you start off with your first use of force is presence. So you want area access, area denial by having an officers present at different locations at different vantage points. So yes, the lack of manpower was critical here, because if you had state police ERT there, that's what they call their SWAT team, then those guys would be trained exactly what to do in active shooter situations in dignitary protection. They are especially trained in that. So those kind of personnel that they needed there with prior experience in that type of work were told not to be there. That's astonishing. So again, made it happen on purpose, let it happen on purpose. They created the conditions under which, they would let it happen on purpose.
This whole time, since we started recording, because I remembered in the last recording we talked about the shooter's gun, and since we started recording, I've been Googling in the background and trying to find any article with any image of the gun, and I can't seem to find it anywhere. But I did come across this meme though.
Yeah, nice.
It's a Van Trump go.
Yeah.
But it's a Van Trump go.
I think
let's see.
Bankrupt needs to make a comment on that, right? He's always talking about the babushkas.
Man, Bald and Bankrupt was outed as a spy. End of story. End of discussion. He's back.
I'm shocked.
I know.
Well, who cares? He does great travel videos. Who cares if he's a spy? I mean, I don't care.
The Russians did, so they kicked him out. Let's see what CBS has to say with their all-seeing eye.
What were you doing before the shooting happened, and then what did you see and hear?
I was just standing there like everybody else, waiting for Trump. And as Trump started, I noticed two officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seeing a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them. And when I turned my back is when the shots started, and then it took me a second or two to figure out exactly what it was. And then it was just getting out of there and helping some other person out with her child, and we got out, and that was the end of that. And I went and left, and that was all.
So that was a second witness who saw the guy.
Yeah, we're back to the complete lack of manpower because they didn't tell the state police to show up, en masse like they wanted to. So who else didn't? Did they tell the county sheriff or the city police or the county police also not to send people? I mean, it's one of those things where there could have been, 2 or 3 extra dozen law enforcement officers there, and this thing would have happened at all. We're still getting into the bottom of this, but there's at least a dozen state police people that the state police wanted there.
Shall we get back into the inception of Working Brother and George? This is Surveillance Tech Giants in Ukraine and Revolution on Speed Dial, 144 episode, and the chat is live. George, you can get in on it too if you feel like doing that while we're recording. But in reality, we're actually here to discuss all these other talks that we did, starting off with no, not this one. This one, Gaza Marine to Nord Stream, and the comments under them. And we've got all these comments loaded here, so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this. So this is from 140, and we've got here Osprey Flyer. George placed the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage in historical perspective. Wow. George, Thank you for thanking me. I guess Working Brother gives me the time to explain sequences so people can see the patterns and determine the common causation. Explaining sequences and patterns is what makes this geopolitical strategy show as opposed to a news show that explains happenings and isolated events instead of an ongoing plan or operation. George, anything to add?
Oh, okay, yeah. The videos are pulled down because I don't want to get in trouble for doing this stuff. But yeah, we did a couple of videos on your show last year, and we kind of war gamed it in the beginning, and I didn't want to. I was trying to be too polite to Gonzalo and his fans because I know his fans really love the guy. But like we were talking about in the last couple of videos, how could you not think that his communications weren't monitored right away when he went from Kharkiv or from Kiev to Kharkiv? When he's angering all the wrong people, and it's so easy if you're a nation state and you have direct access to the internet service provider and the mobile phone service provider. And as
we discussed, all his stuff is like in Ukrainian servers, basically, on top of everything you're saying. Like everything's backed up in Ukraine.
Oh yeah, so they can access that anytime that they want. So, and then I'm flabbergasted that even the people that he's on with didn't realize that his communications were going to be monitored the whole time. When we did our video and then we waited around for the fallout, okay, when I did that video, I was going to pull everything down anyway because I didn't want to get into trouble because there was some, I didn't realize it at the time. I realized it later when I was looking at a bigger screen. There were some markings on the Bill Benny photos that I had in that slide set, and I don't want to get in trouble for that. Even though it does come straight off of YouTube. YouTube could have pulled that down years ago, but still, if somebody wants to make an issue of it, they could cause problems for me. So we pull those videos down. Same thing with Felix. I don't want to come on for free and then end up with lawfare.
Real life consequences. Another comment on that video was so no gas pipelines to Gaza. Do you think there's going to be any gas pipelines to Gaza, George?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to go the other direction. Well, I mean, if Jared Kushner has his way, they'll be there tomorrow.
You want to read this comment as in response of yours? Hold on. Let me put this full screen, and then you can read this comment yourself in your voice so I don't pretend it's you. Go on.
Yeah, I think it's... Okay, yeah, that's from a different video here. Let me...
It's
all right. One... Yeah, I'll just go. Yeah, he was... I can't see what his comment was.
It's a comment on another video that you were referencing. But just go through this one, George. Come on, we can't have...
Yeah,
we can't have this comment. We can't have this comment.
Yeah, just put it back up there then.
Yeah. No, not this.
I was looking for what the original, what it was.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, in response to Osprey's comment below regarding the explanation of the Nord Stream sabotage in historical perspective, Working Brother gives me time to explain the sequence so people can see the patterns and determine the common causation. Explaining sequences and patterns, again, I reference Filthy's meanings and patterns in history, is what makes this a geopolitical strategy show as opposed to a news show that explains happening as isolated events instead of an ongoing plan or operation. Yeah, that's very important. There's just so many people that just can't distinguish. They don't understand what I do in relationship to what everybody else does. Again, I'll compare it to the Duran real quick because I like that show. I listen to it just about every day. They do a news show, and they're very, very good at going over whatever European news there is. And they cover a lot of U.S. news too. But they're very, very good at that. But if you miss it one week, you just pick it up the next week and you're fine. With me, I'm always referencing the older shows because I'm explaining the history of geopolitical thought and strategies as it changes with technology. So the original Alfred Thayer Mahan theories, the impact of naval power in history. When he does those, it was back in the days of wooden sailing ships. So you just blocked ports, and you just monitored ports if you wanted to cut somebody's trade off, so they couldn't export the things that they have excess of and import the things that they lack. So you could choke them off of strategic supplies. Well, that changes with the advent of the railroad, because then overland logistical power can then ship goods from one part of Eurasia to another, and then that renders sea power absolutely useless. So that the more that the railroad and the more that the highway system increased, the more it decreased the power of sailing ships. So then the next big thing is, well, then oil is still shipped mostly by sea. So then the advent of long-range oil and natural gas pipeline again negates the power of seafarer, of naval power. So Russia and China and the United States and Great Britain are having this cat and mouse game over centuries of where they're trying to improve the technology of naval power, and the counter of that is Russia and China are always trying to improve their overland infrastructural supply routes so they don't have to use it's oil. Send oil over the ocean ways is what they're trying to stop, or is what the Anglosphere is trying to stop. So yeah, the cat and mouse game between basic geopolitical strategies, changes in technologies, and critical supplies is what I'm trying to stress. And the different shifting strategies. What are the strategies now? What technologies are going to come out, or what infrastructural projects is an actor going to have, and what's going to be the meaning of that? So when we go over the different Russian natural gas pipelines, the different actors, emanating from Russia, whether it be to Germany, the counter response is, well, the West is always trying to block Russian natural gas pipelines going into Europe, especially Germany and Italy, because then they can go anywhere else by pipeline. They're also trying to stop pipelines from going from Sakhalin to Hokkaido, or from the Sakhalin to Vladivostok area down the Korean Peninsula through North Korea into South Korea. All of these pipelines have been planned, and the United States is trying to block them, because if South Korea and Japan get infrastructurally and energy tied to Russia, then they're no longer going to be allies in the United States' first island chain strategy of containment of Russia and China. So they have different strategies on, in the far east of Russia and the west of Russia, or they're trying to build pipelines from the Yamal, is the big pipeline now, is from Yamal down through Ulaanbaatar down to Beijing, which is going to take several more years to complete. It's a very long pipeline, but they're trying to route all that gas, oil and gas, instead of going through the Nord Stream pipeline because it's blown up. They want to route that down to their customer in China now. So if you look at these different infrastructural projects, what the viewer needs to look at is say, okay, they're building this project, so now that's circumventing some U.S. strategy, or it's a counter strategy. So then the United States has to strike back someplace and shift its strategy. So you can start anticipating what the Anglosphere move is going to stop it, and what they're going to do to disrupt that. It could be different shifting in naval strategies, or it could be funding different violent extremist organizations.
Um, that's just very funny. Right at the end there, you told a really good joke.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest a similar topic, considering the comedic nature of our last recording and the event that transpired in Butler. What a funny name for a city. When you told me you wanted to record about that, I originally came back at you with, are you going to discuss Fizzo or Fico and his attempted assassination?
Oh. Yeah,
And
it's kind of like COVID. It's going around like a pandemic, isn't it?
that's the perfect response. I could have thought of a better answer myself. I was gonna say also, by the way, before we started recording, this popped up on my news feed that by the way, shared by Soviet Russian Bear, who is a friend of the show, that the Hungarian intelligence services prevented an assassination attempt on Viktor Orban by Ukrainian intelligence, according to Demokrata news agency. They wanted to blow up the Hungarian prime minister in his car on the way to the airport before his flight to Moscow. Intelligence services intercepted a conversation between the alleged perpetrator and a curator from Ukraine. There is a 5-minute recording here that I did not download because it's in Russian with Hungarian subtitles. So as far as we're concerned, it's intelligible.
The different. If you're a nation state and you have direct access to the phone carriers, these kind of intercepts are very easy. Again, that's why I'm shocked that people are shocked that I said that Gonzalo's communications were going to be intercepted immediately. They do it all the time. Again, and well, it's Larry Johnson that wrote that, his criticism of Ritter, and the focus is on that. Why I bring that up is they weren't talking about the obvious thing about it's the communications that are continuously intercepted. If you want to understand someone's plans and intentions, listening to their conversations with whoever they're talking to, whoever they're coordinating with or conspiring with, is a pretty good way to understand what their plans and intentions are. And that's what intelligence is.
That's what intelligence is. That's all you have to say about intelligence. Shall we get back to the comments? Where is my little comments tab? There we go. And I think you stopped reading somewhere here. You actually didn't. Okay. You didn't.
Yeah. So the first thing was I'm doing predictive analysis in different areas of the world and in different disciplines is what I'm doing it in. So just go back and just leave that there for a second.
Yeah.
Because I want people to go back and watch the old shows, because the shows that we're going to do over the next few months are going to build off of stuff that we did over the last 2 years. Oh yeah, well, okay. So prior partnerships just didn't work out. If somebody keeps on explaining every word I use and every area I use, then it just turns into an isolated news show, and then I can't discuss the actual patterns. If you can discuss the fact pattern that's occurring across a general region, then you could understand a country's foreign policy. Let's see, I'll just read it. Yeah, the beginners get stuck on each individual event and want to talk about the event if it's a free association conversation, which totally obfuscates a multi-decade pattern of foreign policy where one can see the constant and the variables in sea power versus land power strategies and the various countries change administrations over time, yet the constants remain the same. The constants in foreign policy and geostrategic policies remain the same precisely because the government institutions responsible for that area maintain the same training curriculum with the same priorities. With this knowledge, I can tell which office in the department is in control over something as administrations change. Okay, well, there I'm talking about administrations change, but the deep state stays the same. They stays the same because their training material stays the same. So you have a constant in policy, even if an American president changes, some of those things stay, or they come back with the next president, because the actual policy planners are still there in the civil service, and they just won't leave. But yeah, so when I see something, I'm looking at what that government department's, whatever entity it is, who are the constants in that hierarchy, and then why the policy stays the same or doesn't shift very much, even though the president changes.
Speaking of hierarchies and people at the top of the hierarchy that don't change, what about that Secret Service lady who was the head of security for like Pepsi or something, and then became the Secret Service head? What's your take on her?
That Cheeto individual.
I don't know.
She stresses diversity, equity, and inclusion over competency, and that was we just saw the results of that.
Yeah, what can I say? Let me take a moment to thank everybody who's bought me a coffee. Also, even without George trying to prompt me, check out George's website in the description below if you're interested in more George. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's see if I can minimize this. There we go. Good sirs, this layman listens to understand what is going on out there. Could you guys explain what is going on with China and Taiwan?
All right. Goes back to oil and natural gas. Everybody, the mainstream media keeps on talking about, China keeps on doing those coordinated joint strikes with their military to scare Taiwan. Yeah, they want to train their military how to do joint operations for a potential invasion on one hand. But I think that's talked about a lot, especially in Indian news. And they're always flying their airplanes over Taiwan and buzzing the place and trying to create some hysteria. But I think the real motivation for those continued joint operations around Taiwan, to scare the area and scare the United States, the real motive is they want South Korea and Japan to understand that their oil supplies coming from the Middle East going around the Straits of Malacca and through the South China Sea are going to get blocked in the event of a war. So Japan, they get like 90% of their energy outside of Japan. Because of the United States pressure, they're not getting most of their energy from straight across the Sea of Japan from Vladivostok and Sakhalin. They could get 100% of their energy needs from very close by. The United States does not want that, especially after the sanctions, because now with all these imposed sanctions on Russia, Japan and South Korea cannot pay in US dollars anymore. They have to pay in rubles. So they're creating the scenario that if Japan and South Korea do start buying oil and natural gas from Russia, now they have to exit the petrodollar and pay in rubles. So if China wants to break the alliance between, this is go from the bottom to the top, Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan, the whole first island strategy, if they want to separate the first island strategy in the Pacific Rim from the United States, what they do is they want to scare those countries into threaten them with the fact that they could be completely cut off from oil and natural gas, and their economies would completely collapse. And how do you avoid this potential collapse? You buy oil and gas from Russia in the Far East Vladivostok area. So the real point of scaring Taiwan and that whole region is to encourage more and more purchases of Russian oil and gas from Vladivostok, because they want to break the tie between South Korea and Japan from the United States.
Sounds a lot like Russian propaganda. I'm gonna no, because you said the solution was getting gas from Russia. Now that's pure Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
If I've ever seen it.
If China chases Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan into the arms of Russia, that's a win for China.
On that note, this was sent in by Jenny, a subscriber on Telegram, and it was sent in by her kid. So tell your baby that I'm your baby. Putin and this could be a fake photo, by the way. This could be AI generated.
No, I think it's real.
What do you think of Putin's, friendly trip to Vietnam and North Korea? Good friends of the U.S., both Vietnam and North Korea, historically.
Oh, well, that is kind of a strange. That is kind of a strange relationship
Trip.
there. Back in 2015, I was in Saigon, and I go to the museums there, and
Saigon.
Yeah,
You were not in
what do you mean?
Vietnam. Say Vietnam. You can say it. Come on.
No, Saigon. You're trying to get me to say Ho Chi Minh City, which I won't say.
I'm not trying anything. I'm
Okay.
not trying anything. This is a
I
comedy
told
show.
Saigon. Okay, it's Saigon.
All right.
Not going to change. When I'm in Saigon, I say Saigon, and the funny thing is the locals still call it Saigon. Nobody wants to call it Ho Chi Minh City. So anyway, if you go look at the museums, they're always afraid of Chinese invasions, because the Han Chinese have pushed out. Well, they pushed out the Thai people, because they pushed the Thai people out into Laos and Thailand. Laos and Thailand used to be the same country, so they drifted down out of southern China because they're pushed out by the Han Chinese. The Thai people also went to Taiwan, why it's called Taiwan. They also pushed the Vietnamese down the coast into Vietnam, because Vietnam used to just be inhabited by the Hmong people, who then became
I thought it was French.
the mountain people. This is 1,000 years or whatever before the French got there, okay? So then the Vietnamese went down the coast, pushed the Hmong into the mountains. I'm sorry, Hmong, they're in Laos. I meant the Montagnards, and there's different Montagnard tribes. They pushed the Montagnards into the highlands and controlled the whole seacoast. The actual Vietnamese did. So their biggest fear from this goes back 2,000 years. This took place over 2,000 year period, right? So their biggest fear over the last 1,000 years has always been being pushed by the Han Chinese down the coast. So that hasn't changed. So even though the United States had that disastrous Vietnam War and really bombed the hell out of the area, they want the United States back because, why was the United States there the first time? Oh yeah, that was to stop the spread of Chinese communism. So why do they want us back? Well, to stop the spread of Chinese communism. So some things, there's a lot of, if you haven't visited the area and understand the history, you don't understand the irony of that. Yeah,
Sounds a lot like Afghanistan, man.
To stop the spread of Chinese communism, and they want us back to stop the spread of Chinese communism.
Sounds a lot like Afghanistan and the Taliban.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of similarities, and there's we are not going to go there.
Should we get back to the comments? Strategies of containment, the 7P plan, Working Brother Talks 139. Let's see what other comments we've got here. Oh, this one's by George. George, you can read this. Let me do full screen, and then you can read this.
All right. I'm looking at different people's comments, but if somebody doesn't know something, you know, it's a good indicator that a lot of other people don't know about it either. So I just post a lot of stuff in the main comments. Just it's kind of like a way to frequently ask questions. I need to pull them off and throw them on my Telegram, is what I used to do also. Back when I used to have public telegrams, but I had to kind of stop that for a couple of different reasons. But yeah, here, I'll just read through it. People should check out the responses that I posted in the main comment section of the last two latest videos with WB. I had an entire semester course on the topic of conceptions of the family and government form in the early 1990s, and have worked on comparative ideological system models ever since. But most people have never heard of this before and don't know what is meant by patriarchal versus matriarchal societies. The key books are The Republic by Plato, Jean-Jacques Rousseau's Discourse on Inequality in 1755, Engels' The Origin of the Family, Private Property and the State in 1884. WB and I are going to do a video on the Q&A from the comment sections to provide people with the background. The transformation of America and the West via the incrementalist socialist method, as opposed to Marxist emphasis on violent revolution, means that the transition to the matriarchal support structure, Fabian socialism, has left the West with plummeting birth rates and massively underfunded social service pension programs. The globalists are now in a mad dash to promote mass migration and population replacement to have younger workers to pay off the pensions, but the people that the globalists are bringing in low-skilled workers that are going to be a bigger burden on the social services and accelerate the collapse rather than pay off the debt. Yeah, there's
Shocking.
a lot going on here, because what really came out of these conversations is Western Europe is based on, the Judeo-Christian conception from the Abrahamic patriarchy plus modern post-Adam Smith capitalism. So it's capitalism with patriarchal
tendencies,
micro behavioral forms. So what the Marxists want to do is they want to do the opposite of Christian capitalism and a patriarchal family. They mirror that with atheism, a centrally planned economy to support a matriarchal system. Matriarchal system means single parent mothers is their ideal. So socialism, yes, it started out as to get better pay for the working class, but it's to also shift and get rid of the nuclear conception of the family, so you have children in common, wives in common, well, spouses in common and children in common is the same. So then you need to have a welfare state to pay for that, so the mothers don't have to depend on the support from a husband. So you're replacing a family structure and the government structure to match it. So we're in a transition period. I think one woman in the comments section started talking about her own family.
Well, hold on. We'll get to that, but I wanted to flash these two comments of yours as in replies and get you to read them out and combine them with the other one that you're in the midst of replying to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Let me see how I can get this so you can see it and be on screen. Can you see the first comment now?
Just leave it there. That's fine.
All right.
Okay. I wanted to explain where this came from. I think All right. Okay. In background, I took a course titled Sociology and Political Economy with Professor Bill Robinson at Rutgers in the early 90s. It's basically a liberal versus conservative anthropological course as it relates to government form. Everybody was confused with the class because we never heard of this stuff before. But it's one of those things when 1 month into the class, I was like, oh, this is genius. So, yeah, if I didn't have that one course, well, the unified behavioral theory would have never happened. I'll tell you that right now. But the liberal version of it is the way it translates into Tubi and Kosmides' Psychological Foundation of the Culture. That article, they expressed that article in a domain general versus domain specific. Okay, the domain general premise is if men and women were educated and trained the same, they would act the same. Domain specific is, well, no, men and women just don't have the same amount of concerns, and they actually need to be trained and educated according to their innate instinctual drives. So yeah, pop that back up there if you could. Just leave it on the screen. Yeah, so yeah, it took a month of us. It took halfway through the semester for people to really catch on to what the professor was talking about. But once we did, then all of a sudden you see the relationship between capitalism and patriarchy and the nuclear family, and what the Fabian socialist is what their strategy is to shift it away from the destruction of the nuclear family. All right. The problem with that is they've replaced a proven evolutionary stable strategy. All right, where does that come from? John Maynard Smith, in his book in 71 or 72 was when he published it. It's titled Evolutionary Game Theory. And he began the concept of what are evolutionary stable strategies and why there's a tendency for male and female roles, not, across species of the whole animal kingdom, not just human beings. So he starts to figure out different strategies. It started a whole different, it started several different trends in several different fields, including E.O. Wilson in zoology and different animal studies. He actually studies ant formations and compares it to different things. But you could also apply it to different human strategies. Southern hemisphere people tend to have lots of children because most people die off, and the parents want somebody to support them, so they have more children at a younger age so they can support them in their older age. The capitalist system, Northern hemisphere people tend to have fewer children and put more time and energy in supporting them. So then you get, when you start to go to a welfare state, it starts breaking down the nuclear family system, because then people are dependent upon their government, not their own kinfolk. So it starts shifting alliances. And Jordan Peterson says, well, now with the welfare state, marriage rates have decreased. Yeah, women gain more political power. They started changing alimony laws and child support laws. So now men don't want to get married anymore, because you have to support a woman, for the rest of your life, whether you're with her or not. So yeah, men don't like that trade-off. So marriages go down. They're having fewer children. Now we don't have enough replacement weights in the West to keep our economy going, to pay off the welfare state. So this shift from patriarchal capitalism and Christianity to atheism, socialism, and a matriarchal system is going to be an absolute, complete, total disaster. The United States in total, we're $35 trillion in national debt, but we're $200 trillion in debt as far as underfunded pension liabilities. With Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all of that, there's no way we can pay off our national debt, let alone pay people Social Security benefits. So again, they're inflating away the debt. So the amount that they're going to pay people in their pensions is not going to be a living wage. So after decades of Wilson's, I'm not Wilson's, but FDR's Social Security plan, within a few generations, it's already bankrupted, and it's wiped out the nuclear family. It's almost like when this whole thing collapses, when modern monetary theory does collapse, it's going to have to go back to the family system anyway. So this is going to be a big impending disaster. So again, evolutionary theory relates to psychological theory, government form theory, economic relationships, and then geopolitical form. When this thing crashes, we're going to crash down in all levels.
George and all the subscribers, I want you to give me a like on this video, because like, come on, I didn't interrupt George for like 3-4 minutes. Did you see that? That was amazing. I let him get on, and I felt like I needed to bring back this was set in by Citizen 1001. This is going to become like a standard thing that I'm going to flash in the background. Discern the type of humor that you are hearing. Is it Russian propaganda? Is it for the YouTube algorithm? Is it meme lord, reality disconnect, or WB comedy? In this case, I think this was George feeding the YouTube algorithm comedy. Choosing your words carefully, George. Let's get back to those comments. You didn't even read that comment, and we're already an hour into this recording. Come on, George. You can do better.
Oh, yeah, but there's so much stuff going on here. So yeah, let's get back to the other one. Yeah, I think the other comment is kind of cut off, but I explained that enough. I took the course and I continued studying it for the rest of my life. So yeah, all right. The next one.
Shall we move on? Hold on, let me see. This is you. This is the one. This is the one with that woman that you were talking about, where she thought you were
go back to the other one. You're changing it too fast.
Wait, which one? This?
Yeah, okay. Before I went on hiatus, Working Brother and I did the first surveillance state and CRP video that got sorted out in the comment section, and then went to the slide sets for the next Felix Rex video. Okay, and I still have that slide set models and the link analysis process, as I understand it. I was trying to be overly nice in the video, but saying that Gonzalo was either in on it or the dumbest guy in the world, with a death wish, is much more succinct. But I was trying not to, kick the man while he was down. I was trying to explain the electronic surveillance problem of Bill Benny. And of course, the CRP fans were super offended, but oh well. They got to come out of Plato's caves, sometime. So yeah, we just shot the videos on that. There are going to be more coming out. I think that's the one you're playing now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's the one where I'm shocked at. How could the people that Gonzalo was with on the roundtables not understand that all of Gonzalo's communications were being monitored, especially his financial accounts? And yeah, they're doing it. They're rounding up. Larry Johnson said that, we don't know that anybody was harmed because of his videos. Well, you go to the AP stories about how they're rounding up Russian supporters. Well, part of it is watching social media events like Gonzalo that are going to be a magnet to that kind of stuff, seeing who comments and who's inside Ukraine and who's outside of Ukraine, and then seeing who they're following in Russian language TV, and keep on connecting the dots. And then you build a target list. Then you go round some up. You bring them in for biometrics checks and exploit their phones and tap their communications. And then the next month you go out and round a couple hundred more. So there's been hundreds of people rounded up in these operations. And yeah, a lot of it could have prevented if he had moved.
I'm just flipping through here. a couple of these other comments, and we've got quite a bit to get through, and we're just crossing the 1 hour mark now. Do you want to cut this off and then go back into some more of these comments in a separate video so that we don't overwhelm people with too much comedy at one time?
Yeah.
All right.
They might
excellent.
laugh themselves to death listening to me.
It's shocking. Some of this comedy is shocking. Everyone who stuck around to the end, like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a good one. And we'll be right back, theoretically.